So the first article I wanted to take a look at is on BBC.com, and the title is Biden Inauguration Leaves QAnon Believers in Disarray. This is actually really, really interesting. I wondered what was going to happen to QAnon after their last predictions failed to come true. I've been getting a lot of questions about people like Kat Kerr and Greg Locke and, all of those other pastors who made predictions, some of whom said, God told me that that Trump was going to be president for the next 4 years. I've had a lot of people asking, what are they saying now? And we are going to cover that a little bit later, so keep a lookout for it. But QAnon specifically had claims about this civil war that was going to take place, and it was called the Storm. And Trump knew that when he was in office, and he would make little winks and little nods to the people listening, little nods to the QAnon people by mentioning the storm. Every now and then, out of context, he'd just say, storm's coming, or something like that. And it kept these people fueled. It kept them going. The idea is that Trump was going to basically mass arrest a bunch of people, a bunch of his political opponents, and that was going to signal the beginning of this war and all this other junk. And none of that is possible if Trump isn't president, obviously. So the fact that Biden was inaugurated shattered their hopes and dreams. And I find it fascinating to watch what happens to a cult after they've been proven wrong without a shadow of a doubt. So I figured we'd give this article a read and see what it said. Followers of the baseless QAnon conspiracy theory are divided after Joe Biden's inauguration confounded their predictions that Donald Trump would remain president in order to punish his enemies in the deep state, quote unquote. Many reacted with shock and despair as Joe Biden was sworn in as the 46th U.S. president. I just want to throw up, said one in a popular chat on Telegram messaging app. I'm so sick of all the disinformation and false hope. I find it fascinating that they used the word disinformation. I mean, misinformation, disinformation, those words specifically refer to a propaganda technique. Disinformation is this propaganda technique where you spread as much false information as you possibly can. It's kind of a linchpin to the big lie propaganda or to fire hose propaganda. Disinformation is the linchpin to it. Others insisted the plan had not failed, finding new theories to latch onto. For weeks, QAnon followers had been promoting January 20th as a day of reckoning, when prominent Democrats and other elite satanic would be arrested and executed on the orders of President Trump. But as Mr. Biden took his oath and no arrests were made, some in the QAnon community had an uncomfortable meeting with reality. There was actually a conspiracy theory that Biden was going to be arrested at the inauguration. All the way up to the last second, they wanted to believe that Trump was in control. And how fantastical would it be if Biden was arrested by Trump or by some, general or something at the inauguration? They would have gone completely fucking nuts. When that didn't happen, they fell apart. Let's keep reading. In the hours that followed, thousands more made similar comments on platforms like Gab, Telegram, and other online forums where believers go to discuss the conspiracy after being kicked off mainstream social media in the wake of the Capitol riots. This is something else I find interesting. Many QAnon accounts were kicked off of Twitter, right? And they started saying, what are we going to do now? How do we communicate with each other? We're going to have to go back to radio. And it's like, people, do you understand that Twitter isn't literally the only way to communicate online? Did they not consider email before radio? Why did they go all the way back to ham radio? They didn't consider email. They didn't consider IRC or private Discord servers. And maybe Discord kicked them off too. That's possible. But there are decentralized servers like Discord that have a similar service to Discord that you can get. There's all kinds of shit you could use. They're not allowed to spread violent propaganda anymore on Twitter specifically. That's it. That is the only line that they've been given. And they're disintegrating now, saying they can't even, they're going to have to go back to radio. What the fuck is wrong with these people? Anyway, let's keep reading. Doubt even seeped into posts by some of the biggest influencers of the movement, as some started to question the phrase, trust the plan, a key QAnon slogan that has been used by Q, an anonymous figure whom followers believe to be an influential government insider. Quote, "This is a very difficult day for all of us," said one influencer whose Twitter account with 200,000 followers was recently suspended. Holy shit. "Today's inauguration makes no sense to the Christian patriots, and we thought the plan was the way we would take this country back." Oh my God. This is glorious, dude. Look, I know these people's souls are crushed right now, but after what these people did, and after the horrific, genuinely horrific and scary things that they said, I am drinking their tears up right now. I'm sorry. I have no sympathy for people who are in favor of, like, violent action against liberals. Like, I literally, against anybody, period. I literally took the bumper stickers off my car because I don't want anybody to identify me as a liberal and come after me. That should tell you where we are as a society, seriously. Let's keep reading. One woman whose husband is a QAnon follower told the BBC that Inauguration Day had been the most disappointing of his life. I love it. I'm just eating this shit up. She's hopeful Wednesday's events may have shaken his faith in the conspiracy, but fears what comes next. "I'm not a told-you-so kind of person and never seek to belittle or humiliate," she said, adding that his beliefs had put a strain on their marriage in recent months. "The QAnon community risks fracturing," said another influencer on Gab, a right-wing social media platform, adding that real friendships might be irreparably damaged because people are so angry. A lot of extreme right-wing factions, and more generally, like, kind of centrist right-wing factions, from what I've seen, are trying to pick up those broken QAnon factions. They're trying to bring them into their fold now that they've lost everything. Like, their whole belief system's been shattered and been proven to be false. So Alex Jones has started talking shit about QAnon a little bit, but he's trying to bring those people in. He's trying to convince them that he's got the correct information. He wants to bring them under his wing. Kind of fucking disgusting, if you ask me. The widely accepted belief within the movement was that at some point before Joe Biden stepped on the stage to take the presidential oath, members of the military, on the orders of Mr. Trump, would intervene to arrest Mr. Biden and his wife, along with Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Barack and Michelle Obama, Hillary and Bill Clinton, George and Laura Bush, and other members of the deep state. Yeah, they're not partisan. They wanted George and Laura Bush taken out too. And of course, at the Capitol riot, you could see they hung up a gallows. Is that what it's called? A gallows? They hung up gallows with, like, the rope and everything hanging from the top, and they were calling for Mike Pence. Holy shit. That's fucking scary. Seriously, that is scary. This is a quote from Gab, an anonymous person. "I will continue speaking truth. I have not given up. I still have faith. I still know that God wins." Some influential accounts told followers to keep the faith and not give up so easily. One popular Telegram channel reassured its 130,000 subscribers that Mr. Trump and the Q team were still in control behind the scenes, and the evil deeds of the deep state would be exposed over the next 4 years. Some doubled down, criticizing those who, in their view, had rushed to judgment. One claimed Mr. Biden was running his administration as an inmate inside a military compound, but he doesn't know it yet. There's another Q conspiracy I heard that Joe Biden is JFK. Joe Biden is John F. Kennedy. They're about the same age, right? Joe Biden is 26 years younger than John F. Kennedy was. He was born 26 years later. So, no, they're not kind of the same age. But they claimed that he had, like, surgery on his face, or he was wearing a mask, or whatever other nonsense. These people are detached from reality, seriously. They are detached from reality. Let's keep reading. Later in the day, Ron Watkins, one of the most influential figures in the QAnon community, called on his followers to move on, to the surprise of many observers. The son of Jim Watkins, the man behind 8chan and 8con, message boards filled with extreme language and views, violence, and extreme content on which Q posts. The younger Watkins has been one of the main purveyors of election conspiracies and played a vital role in encouraging some QAnon supporters to gather in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. These people are nuts, dude. These people are completely detached from reality, and we're going to have to find something to do with these people. Like, we have to find a solution to what's happening right now. Actually, hang on. Let me switch screens real quick. I want to pull something up. Oh, shit! Okay, all right. Okay, hold up. Let me share my screen here. I got to share my screen. Okay, so I was about to show you guys the Thedonald.win. Okay, you guys probably know what the Thedonald.win is. If you don't know what that is, the Thedonald.win is, it's basically Trump's subreddit. It used to be Trump's subreddit a long time ago. It was r/thedonald, and then it pretty much got banned by Reddit, so they moved to their own main server. Like, they set up their own software, it was their own website and everything, and it turned into a full-blown extremist meeting place where they literally talked about planning violence publicly. It was serious shit. And the FBI started visiting, some of the people who were saying some of the most grotesque things on there. I've been basically archiving some of the conversations that take place on the Donald and watching it and seeing how things play out. So I was going to pull it up to show you guys, but going to the Thedonald.win just now, we have a little message. And I'm not sure what this message says yet, because I had no idea this was the case, but let's give it a read together. What happened to the Thedonald.win? Since July 2019, I have personally owned the Thedonald.win domain. Once it seemed likely the subreddit would be banned, this domain was used by the mod team for a new community site. My role was domain owner and mod team member. The moderation team, user rules, site code, and databases are controlled by 2 other team members. My hope was always that the domain and site assets would be put under a corporation, but that did not progress. Ooh, that's not good. I bet there are all kinds of tax liability problems now for not setting it up as a company. Following the events of January 6, 2021, it became clear media and law enforcement were attempting to dox and interview the domain owner, me, regarding the site and user content. Unfortunately, the mod team had been struggling for some time to address a flood of racist and violent content that appeared to be coming primarily from a small group of extremists who were often brigading from other sites. This had led to warnings from Epic, domain registrar, and inquiries from the FBI. Now he's going to pretend that he had nothing to do with it, and the Thedonald.win was a perfectly safe and nice place, and it was just a couple of guys, they're troublemakers, just coming around and causing problems. Yeah, that's the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my life, and I have the archives to prove it, and we will go through those archives later. Let's keep reading. Since mods are not permitted to speak with media and I wanted to proactively get ahead of it as the domain owner, I chose to leave the Thedonald.win moderation team to focus on defending myself, protecting my family, and providing proper context to what was happening on the Thedonald.win. No context needed. We know the context. There were genuine extremists on there planning genuinely violent action, period. There's nothing else we need to know outside of that. Despite my assurances they could continue to use the domain, the controlling mods moved the community to a new site without notification. The first post on Patriots.win unnecessarily and without provocation made my family a target of a childish harassment campaign. Uh-oh. As I told many, I have no axe to grind. The moderation team is filled with America-loving patriots who volunteer to provide like-minded individuals a place to discuss issues that are heavily centered on almost all other social media platforms. Interesting. So Patriot.win is what it is? Oh, Patriot.win is not a website. It doesn't exist. I mean, I did spell it right, didn't I? Patriot.win? Is that down too? What the fuck is going on with this? This is fucking mind-blowing. I'm trying to find where I was. Okay, Patriots.win. Patriots.win. Okay, that's my mistake. Let me try typing it again. Here we go. Okay, wow. It's got like all of the Donald code and everything. Fascinating. Moving on from the rebranding. Okay, Well, there's our answer. Let me finish reading some of this, though. The moderation team is filled with America-loving patriots who volunteer to provide like-minded individuals a place to discuss issues that are heavily censored on almost all other social media platforms. What is next for the Thedonald.win? Eventually, the Thedonald.win domain will morph into a new site at America.win. So they're just ditching the Thedonald.win. Interesting. Okay. Well, anyways, what I wanted to get to was looking at the Thedonald.win. I guess it's Patriots.win now. Sunday Gun Day, suitcase full of freedom. Oh my God, dude. Instead of illegal ballots. I'm sure you can guess what they're talking about here. Basically everything on here is a lie, a distortion, or incorrect in some way, shape, or form. Moving on from the rebranding. Let's see what kind of drama they're stirring up here. We're moving on from the rebranding situation. We don't want to leave all 3 posts stickied, but feel that they are still important, so this thread will highlight them all. Today's a big day. After 5 years, the Donald has rebranded to Patriots.win. The first reason goes without saying. We're in a period of transition with yesterday's fraudulent inauguration. Oh my God, dude. They're so delusional. They are so fucking delusional. It will likely be some time before Trump gets back to actively communicating with his base, but we'll do what we can to help our part of this movement as active as ever. We're not turning against Trump, not at all. Our branding and our rules will remain the same for the immediate future. If Trump moves forward with the rumored Patriots Party, then we're perfectly positioned to fully support him in that endeavor. It is our duty to step up and call out the disaster that this administration will be. This rebrand does not indicate a change in moderation policy. Help patriots find their lost home. Unfortunately, the old domain got redirected to Gab and then to localhost in response to our rebranding. The good news is that we've retained at least 75% of our traffic, but it's still incredibly important to share the site with family and friends and on any other social media platforms that you're a part of. We don't expect to get the old domain back, but we're moving on past this situation as this negativity helps no one. Why didn't they just transfer the domain name to somebody else? I don't get it. I guess there was some serious drama going on between everybody. This is insane, dude. These people are so disconnected from reality. I find it endlessly fascinating to read through this website. And before they closed and changed their stuff around, I did archive a bunch of shit. I saved a bunch of pages from before the January 6th attack, during the attack, and then after the attack, and after the inauguration. So I'm going to hopefully be going through some of those archived websites over the next few weeks, and we'll get to look at the mindset of these people change from rabid, completely psychotic, and disconnected from reality in every way, to depressed and downtrodden and afraid that the FBI was visiting their doors, to just closing everything down because Trump lost and Biden is now the president. The transition between those mindsets for these people is an extremely interesting story to follow. So stay tuned, and eventually I will be covering all of it.